y'all have a YouTube channel?
We do. It's the Art of Letting Go podcast.
Nice. I love podcasts. Cool. Check it out.
It's on iTunes.
Okay, cool.
Right?
Check it out.
Yes, it's on iTunes as well.
Okay, cool.
So this is Mike Brown.
This is Byron Young.
And this is Tey Harper.
And this is the Art of Letting Go.
Letting go.
Letting go.
Letting go. Letting go. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Letting go. We out here, Mike.
Absolutely. Y'all don't even know how happy I am to be recording with y'all.
It's an honor, man.
So it's the Art of Letting Go, where we're also letting grow on these new episodes. I heart you too. It's really good to see you. I feel like I haven't seen you in a very long time.
Since college.
I know. You should introduce yourself though to the listeners. Both of you guys should actually.
You go first.
Ladies first. Ladies first, Tey.
I'm shy. You go
Oh, my
first.
God. My name is Dr. Byron Young.
He just had it. All right, doctor. Oh, the way he said doctor.
So I'm one of Mike's dearest friends from college. We went to Xavier University, Louisiana. And since then, since Xavier, we have a whole network of really good folks, lots of whom have been on the podcast before, like Crenshaw. I think James has been on the podcast. Wayne, who's also a member of the Art of Letting Go crew. Shout out to Wayne. I'll sing you on this track.
Actor Wayne?
Yeah, Actor Wayne.
Oh, shoot. Hey, Wayne.
Hey. So after that, I went to medical school at Tulane and then went to New York for residency and fellowship. I'm now a child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist, super community oriented, really mindful about the intersection of like mental health, social justice, racial justice, and the arts. So just doing a lot of fun, creative stuff around that. Trying to live my best life. I'm out here in Venice.
You look very famous right now too.
Oh, he is
You look very
I don't know
famous.
what you're talking about. I'm just trying to make it, brother. I'm just trying to make it. Walking Town, shout out to Walking Town. We be trying to make it. There you go, Tey.
Well, that resume was beautiful. My name is Tey Harper. I went to school with both of these kind fellas.
That's you.
I haven't seen you guys since college. Technically, yeah, it's been that long.
Yeah.
Both of you.
Really?
Wow.
Tey,
Is it? I mean, I'm just.
No,
I'm just
I saw you
saying,
at
like,
homecoming.
Oh yeah, you did see me at homecoming, but I'm saying like on a consistent basis. Be like, do you think we see?
Tey, aren't you in Brooklyn now, Tey? I see you. Oh,
Yeah, I go back and forth. But anyway, I am an actress who is pursuing the dream. And I mean, that's really about it. Like I went to Xavier, and then after that I went to Emerson College, and then, just trying to find myself for the most part. And then I said, you know what, bump all of this. Acting is what I want to do, and acting is what I'm pursuing.
Can you tell us a little bit about that process, Tey? I think a lot of people would like to know. Like you were
Lordy.
doing unconventional things, right?
Yeah,
Like,
so God, so much after college. So I went to grad school. I realized during grad school I actually didn't want to complete the program.
Right.
But everyone was in my ear saying, you know what, you'll have masters behind your name, and you'll have a job as soon as you get out. You'll make all this money. Needless to say, that was definitely not the case. So I basically just started working anywhere. Like I started working at a hospital. I was a patient coordinator. Then I was doing like some IT work with another company. Then I became a case manager.
Oh wow.
And after all of that, I really had to sit back and just think like, I'm not happy. I'm making money, but I'm not happy. And then I started looking at a lot of my friends from Xavier, and I just saw that they were really doing what they wanted to do.
Right.
Being doctors, being lawyers, and, just a lot of things that's going on in society. Life is just too short. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take this leap of faith, and I'm just going to do what I have to do to pursue acting. And if nothing comes out of it, at least I can say I tried, and that's the happiest thing ever.
Absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned that, because on my way out here to Venice, I was thinking about school, because I studied sales and marketing in school, but never really did anything with it. I've always done music, and music has been that one thing I've always gone back to. So I feel like that's my passion, and it seems like acting is your passion as well. And yeah, I guess I was saying all that to say, like, what keeps you pushing with it? I mean, because we are, to standards, we're up in age.
Yeah, I was
we're up in age, but we still are chasing the dreams that we have. So I wonder what keeps you going.
I have to keep going because
I
I've been
understand
in places where I just wasn't happy. Like, money pays the bills, but it does not bring you happiness. And I honestly believe that God will make a way for you out of no way. I mean, and I have to say that when I was a kid, I used to promise my mom all the time, I'm going to buy you this brand new house. I'm going to build you this brand new house. So my mother and that promise to her is actually what keeps me going and just being happy.
You can't buy happiness.
You can't buy it.
I think there's a lot of like social unlearning we have to do, right? Because I think I was talking, I don't know who was, somebody, one of our friends, maybe it was one of you guys. We were talking about how like society is not built for you. It's not built for the individual to be happy. That's not what it's like.
It's not.
That's not what it's constructed for. So why on earth would you look to society for the like guidance on how to live your life, right? Like society, I think particularly in the American context, it's like, you know, live the American dream, get your house and your money and your cars and, you know, and I think that that's like a soulless situation. And I think the sooner we can figure that out and kind of unlearn that, the better. And so I think, you know, talking to, you know, what Tey said about, you know, not just chasing the money, but really chasing their dreams, that is like poo-pooed on because that doesn't feed the social system, right? Like you chasing your dreams don't help out the, you know, the society as a system as a whole. You know, we need you out here working and, you know, being another cog in the wheel. And I think there are ways you can kind of be because like sometimes you just got to make, you know, make ends meet to eat.
Yeah.
So not to poo-poo being, you know, working in the kind of system as it's given to you. But I think this notion of like trying to step out of it, I really think finding true joy, if your goal is to find true joy, you definitely won't find it in like just doing the rote kind of automaton like work of just, you know, going to work at a job that just pays the bills, and it has nothing to do with like nurturing your soul. And so I think it's hard. It's like brave. I applaud both of you guys. I think it's really brave to kind of break out of that and kind of go pursue your dreams. I was telling a friend yesterday, I was saying, you know, when I was a little kid, I was very contrarian, right? So I was always like, the system is whack. Like I was teasing about how I didn't say the Pledge of Allegiance as a kid. I was like a little militant. But I was like, I always was like trying to be outside the lines. But I think really living your best life is like not even like kind of like pretending that the lines aren't there at all. So
absolutely.
Not even trying to like be in or out. Just like the lines don't matter. I'm just gonna move how it feels like moving. So like if something that is within the lines is how my heart moves, then that's fine. But if something's outside the lines, that's how my heart moves, that's fine too. And I'm not like reacting to the lines at all. I'm just like living my best life.
Absolutely. And I really feel like kind of just to piggyback off what you were saying as far as like being a part of the system, finding ways to put yourself in the system. Because for me, working in schools for the last school year, doing a whole school year in school, I had to find ways to be myself within it, because every time I've had a job, I've never felt like myself. I've always had to fake the work voice and dress a certain way. And I go to school now and I talk shit just the way I'm talking to you guys. So, you know, that's a good feeling, and that fulfills my soul. You know, and I never really saw myself working for anybody. Still doesn't feel like work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think there's something about being able to bring your full true self to spaces. And I think particularly as marginalized folks, right, with all the, you know, black, you know, woman, LGBT, all these particular different types of marginalized kind of social identities, the world is not set up for you at all. So you can definitely not bring your full true self to spaces easily. And so I think there is something, it's revolutionary to bring your full true self to these spaces and do it proudly, you know? And I think I was telling some folks the other day, I like wear dashikis to work and I rock my sneakers because I'm like trying to like expand the notions of what it means to be like excellent, right? All the notions of like professionalism and academic excellence were very much constructed in very like white, male, wealthy situations. And so there is no space for you to bring your full black, you know, bring my fat, black, beautiful self to a space and really exist, right? So I like have to push. I have to expand what it means, and you know, sometimes it comes against a little friction, but definitely worth it, and it's necessary for me to again find joy.
You are definitely a role model in that. I was just telling someone yesterday about you at the top 40 under 40 at Xavier.
Oh, nice.
How you just came in jeans and tennis shoes and a dashiki, and everybody else was in suits, damn near tux. So that's very inspiring to me, because you are always being yourself. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, it's definitely something I've been intentional about, and the whole point is to try to model it so that other people kind of take note. I think, right, so I'm a doctor in a profession where I have a very like under-resourced field, so I could get a job pretty easily. So I recognize I could kind of take those risks and it not be that risky. So I have a privilege. Because of my degrees and in the field I'm in, that I could take those chances and not have as much consequences. If you're a person who like has a job at a particular place and you got mouths to feed, you got bills to pay in a certain way, then I can understand like not being able to take those risks. So I feel like I owe it to that person who works at like Checkers and has like 3 kids.
Absolutely.
I owe it to that person to like try to push these boundaries because I have the privilege of being able to do it and being able to take those risks without it being so risky. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, man, I do it. I like to think I do it for the culture. I do it for the people, you know?
I fully understand. I feel the same way. Yeah, I do.
And I also think just knowing yourself. So with me, I had to, Lord G, my journey is just so interesting. Goodness gracious. But it took, just having that support system, telling people who really support you what it is that you really want to do. So, for instance, I had a lot of friends who were like, okay, Tey, well, when you going to make that leap? When you going to take that jump? Like, you've been talking about this since college. Like, I had one friend, Brent Mans from Xavier, who was like, so, Tey, you ain't in Hollywood yet? Right. I mean, you've been talking about this since college. And honestly, I didn't even realize that I had been talking about acting for so long that he reminded me of that. So that was something I had to take into consideration. But like you said, I mean, when you're pursuing the dream, sometimes you just have to do stuff just to make ends meet. Now, me, knowing myself, I'm the type where I work very well. I thrive in flexible, structured environments. So it's, where I can make my own schedule because I will work versus really, honestly, a 9 to 5. I'm just like zone out. Like when they have like those 10-hour meetings, I'm like, come on, y'all. Now, what y'all got to talk about for about 10 hours?
I feel like we comparing school notes right now. I feel like we in class sharing notes. Yeah. I was going to ask you because, you've been pursuing acting since college, and I've been doing music since college. But
since college, Mike. Not since college. Since college. I've been 1 and 2 now.
Well, what do you think held you back?
Fear. Let it go. I know, right? So when you hear a lot of artists, their stories, you have a lot of individuals who started when they were young. So since I was a child, fear has always held me back. I just always felt like maybe I was too old to do this, or I was too tall to do this. Like in maybe 4th grade, I was told that I was too tall to do gymnastics. Well, I'm like, okay, well, gymnastics is out the way. Right. Or singing. I think I auditioned for like Xavier's freshman summer thing, and it was like, you're cut. So just not getting it and I hate to bring zodiac signs in it, but Aries, we kind of like stuff instantaneously. So it was like, okay, I didn't get it this time. Well, I guess it's not for me. I can't do that. But as you get older and you really start to reflect on your life and where it is that you want to be, things just take time. And that's another thing, looking at my circles, it was like, these people put hard work into being doctors. Like nothing is going to come just like that. So I had to get that ingrained in my mind. And sometimes I still have to do that. Like I have affirmation notes all over my room. Like, Tey, just pace yourself, relax, get organized, do things in sections. You can't accomplish everything all at once. And I think that's where a lot of times we fall off, because we want things instantly, and it just doesn't happen that way. And I think also recognizing with what you're doing, it's not really a job, right. It's who you are. Yeah. So there's a difference between somebody that goes to college to be a doctor because they're getting the tools, but nobody can give you the tools to be Tey, the actress. You know what I mean? I feel bad saying this, and it hurts my heart every time I say this, but if I could do it all over again, I'm
about to agree with you. I'm about to agree with you right now.
I'm glad that I met everybody from Xavier University, Louisiana. I'm so happy I did. But I probably would not have gone to Xavier if I was being true to myself. Because Xavier didn't have a theater program. They didn't have an acting program, whereas Howard has that. Or even honestly going to a community college to figure it out. Because I wanted to do so many things. It's like, dang, I could have gone to a community college, saved some money, and figured all that out, and then transferred to a university.
So my experiences with Xavier, I would never give them back for nothing in the world. There's no amount of money you could put on that. But when I do put that amount of money on it, I could have took the money that I invested in school and invested it in myself. And I think that's the one lesson that I try to give to people about college. Like, it's an investment. So whatever you plan on studying, make sure your income can afford that. Because to go to $100,000 school to study art, it's kind of a waste of time. Just
but
to be
I also
real.
think that's something that we have to be cognizant on when we talk to college kids. Like, you don't have to know right away. You don't.
No, not at all.
Like, take that time out to figure it out. Like, do different things so that you can be exposed, and then be like, you know what? I really like that. I find joy in that. That's what I want to pursue. I feel like so many times we tell kids, oh, you have to know what you want to do right away. You have to know, which is why a lot of people, but let me just choose this.
Right.
You shouldn't just choose something just to choose it. You should choose it because you love it and it's true to you.
I think another big thing is, like, we get so caught up on like what we desire, like we fantasize about what we want in the ultimate goal, and we will like go through hell and high water to achieve a goal that might not even be the goal that we want. So even when our minds change and this is not really what we want, because we already fantasized about that's what we have to do, we will like go through horrible things to get there. So I think this notion of like being compassionate enough for yourself to constantly gauge and is like, what do you want and what do you want to accomplish, and making sure like it's okay. Like, you don't want to just change the goal because it got hard. Like, that shouldn't be the reason to change. But if your really heart's desire changes, or if you realize that goal wasn't your goal anyway and it was just from other influences, parents or whatever, the notion of being true to yourself and like being able to shift that. I think so much of our like suffering comes from having these desires in the future as opposed to just kind of living life day by day and keep shooting. Like, like if your goal is this thing that's far off, you kind of chart it out and just work at it. Like, this notion of like the angst of that comes from not having reached the goal is too much. Like, let the journey be the goal, right? Let the journey be the thing. And so I think that's how you kind of can live a life that's much more enjoyable, so that even if you don't reach this, lofty goal that you had, you still enjoyed the journey and did, you do the best you can with the best you got, like the old people say. I think that's a big thing. I see a lot of people who are like, oh, I want to be a doctor, even though that's not their real dream. And they'll just go through hell and high water to get there. And even when they do become doctors, they're still not happy because that's not what they want to do in the first place. And it's like, you knew this years ago when you were, so you talking about going to a school, you're like, okay, Xavier's great, but I really want to do acting, but Xavier doesn't have an acting program. Then get up out of Xavier and go to Howard, right? Like, that's like, but it's like, oh, well, I'm already here. What will people say? Oh my God, it's like, so it's complex or whatever. Xavier was exactly what I needed because I was in medicine. It was exactly what I needed, so it was perfect to be there. But I definitely, I think the notion of like, we always talk about this, it's kind of cliche now, but living your best life takes work, right? It takes like intentionality and not just work in terms of like getting good grades or whatever. It also takes work to like understand yourself and know yourself and love yourself. I've been talking about this a lot. This notion of everybody has compassion for everybody except for themselves. They got love for everybody except for themselves. So people base their like, and this is again more of that social, like doing it for society and not for yourself. This notion of like, I'm going to do the right thing is always around what did I do for this other person that I care about. So people who don't care nothing about people they don't care about. So like homeless people on the street or whatever, people can like look over them like it's nothing. But if it's like your loved ones or whatever, people feel this weird thing that I can't say no, I can't set boundaries. That's BS. This notion of like living your best life has to do with like loving yourself and being compassionate for yourself, that you do what's good for you, and it's not being selfish. It's like self-preservation that's necessary.
Absolutely.
I don't mean to interrupt. Byron, can you kind of expand on Focus, the organization, the new campaign with the postcards?
Oh, well, that's not a new campaign. It's something we did last year, but I know it. So focus.org, check it out. It's this really dope arts advocacy nonprofit. Started at the University of Michigan. Now we're in Brooklyn. Shout out to the team. We basically are an arts advocacy nonprofit where we like do creative things to like bring the arts into spaces and places where it might not otherwise be. And so one of the things we had the idea was to take people of color centric art and infuse it with like positive messages, like so basically like have a picture of like a dude with a flat top, like a dude with like a flat top, and put like give more love.
That's what you're doing with like the bus stops and stuff,
yeah, exactly.
right?
So
that's what's up.
We put them on advertising space in downtown Brooklyn and Atlanta, and then we made them into postcards, and then we went out into the community. So we were like, how many points of positive content can I give? So we had people write on the postcard, read the postcard, get inspired by the postcard, and then write an inspirational message to their future selves. So this notion of like sit down and think about how you motivate other people to feel good about who they are, and then aim that right back at yourself and write it, and then they wrote it down, and then we mailed it to them at like a random time. So how many points points of positive contact can you give around your own self-love?
Yeah.
It was a really cool, and we're doing it all summer. Probably we did it last summer that was the one that started, and we're going to probably keep it going. We already started at Grits and Biscuits at the block party, and going to keep it going.
That's what's up.
Yeah, man, it's a cool idea.
I think I have some. Do you mind passing me my bag so I can,
Which bag? This one?
It's a purse. There's a big old purse bag over there. I think I have some.
Yeah, and so kind of like what you were saying, Mike, this notion of like being true to myself. Like, can I like work within the system, but then funk the system up with like being true to myself, right? So this notion of like, can I affect the system positively by being my full and true, genuine self?
I think that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah,
I really do. My goal in life is really to be disruptive in every part of life
right.
that I can be. So
yeah, what does that look like for you?
It looks like change. It looks like growth. Those are only two words that came to mind. But every time I've been in a situation where I felt uncomfortable, I've done something to make myself comfortable.
Yeah.
And it usually affects the situation pretty dramatically, but for the positive and for the better, for myself.
Does that
I
look
can't
like,
say what it says for every other situation, but for myself, it makes it better for me.
Is that like setting boundaries in spaces where setting boundaries is not like,
I think
it's like frowned upon?
I think sometimes setting boundaries, sometimes giving space. Communication is a very major thing because a lot of times things get lost in translation. So you may have an issue with me and I may have an issue with you, and we may have two totally different issues. But just because we have an issue, that commonality is there. Is that a word? Commonality,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Word of the day.
Xavier
The art of
University.
letting go. Word of the day. Commonality.
But yeah, and a lot of times things just go over and boil over because people don't talk.
100%, man. People are just want to stay too comfortable. People want to like. I think anxiety is like a huge thing in the community.
Absolutely.
In communities of color, I think in communities in general, everybody's so scared to like say no, to be uncomfortable, to like to like talking, like to talk about the things that are uncomfortable. Like people are like, oh, I don't want to talk about race because it's an uncomfortable thing to talk about. I don't want to talk about religion because I'm uncomfortable to talk about. If we don't talk about it, we're never gonna like come together. How you gonna come together if you don't talk about it?
I think with having
Just
a
do it with
conversation,
love.
you have to be open to the conversation. Like we could have a conversation about race, religion, God, everything, but if you're not open to me and I'm not open to you, it won't go anywhere.
And you got to come with love and put your hurt
Absolutely.
down. People always connect the hurt that they felt from way back in related to those topics and bring that hurt right along with them, and they end up, aiming pain at other people.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people, they don't focus on the situation. It's more so the person. That's what they say. I mean, it's like focus on the problem rather than the person. Right. Yeah. And I don't know. I feel like nowadays people are so quick to let people go if they disagree with them. I mean,
Tey, don't you do that?
Oh!
Well, this is the art of letting go.
Okay, so let me tell you. I don't let go, but I think, how can I?
Tey be like, you wrong me out, you did to me.
You give space.
I can see you in the street, you don't even exist.
Wait,
Is that Clyde? Who's Clyde? I don't know Clyde.
How can I
Clyde
say
actually
this?
did to me.
But if that's healthy for you and it works, that's okay.
No, it's not healthy. It's unhealthy. I think what's healthy is recognizing how people treat you, and I guess just bringing the same energy. I mean, because I feel like when people are like, what is it? Don't people disappoint you with expectations? Something like that. I have a problem with that saying because I feel like you should have expectations, but you should also reciprocate the energy. So, for instance, a lot of friendships, it was like, maybe, someone is doing all of the calling the person or whatever. And it's like, well, that other person may just view you as their friend that they talk to once a month.
Right.
Yes, that hurts because you want to talk to that person more than once, but it's like you no longer have that expectation of talking to this person because you get it. Like you understand, meet them where they're at. Meet them where they're at. And
there's nothing wrong with that.
At that place in my life right now, I will meet you where you're at, and I won't have any problems about it.
Yeah, I think it's important to do that because there's a difference in like having supportive, nurturing friends who just don't aren't in the space as much as you would like them to be, and having toxic friends who are in the space in all the toxic way. So this notion of like we all have those friends who are like, oh, they may not call or reciprocate as much, or they might not come to your events as much, but they're still loving, nurturing, supportive people. Then there's people who are like just take and also add toxicity to your life, but people feel like because we've been friends forever or whatever, you got to stick around. So there is a space at which you do need to let people go, but then you don't need to let everybody go who isn't a friend exactly like you want them to be. But if it's an unhealthy situation, that's when you need to let that go.
And I've been on both ends. Like, there's this one girl, she had to let me go. Like, I could understand why she let me go, and to this day I respect her for communicating that. You know what I'm saying? So
that's real.
Communication is huge. And man, this journey called life, I swear, if you take time to just sit back, take accountability for things, for situations, for your actions and everything, it would just open up your eyes.
Yeah, life is beautiful if you allow it to be.
Yeah. It's funny you said. I think some of the most toxic friend situations are those friends who can't take accountability for anything. Those friends who are like, it's always someone else's fault. Their ego is so sensitive and so tender that like they can't even look at their own stuff to talk about like where they play a role. And so I think one of the greatest things about communications is the notion of like, let me validate that I hear and fully understand your perspective, and at the same time I still disagree with it. Right? Like I can disagree with it while still validating that your perspective is your perspective, and I respect you enough and love you enough to do that. And so
agree to disagree.
Yeah, so
absolutely.
those friends who can do that, like I mean, that's hard business. I feel like some people have those friends just because they're like, oh well, it's nice to have a friend who's struggling more than me. I think like sometimes we have those friends or
friendship out of comfort.
Yeah,
you've been knowing somebody for a while.
Yeah. I think sometimes with that situation, people allow themselves to like focus so much on that friend's disruption that they're not focusing on their internal world. So you keep those friends around because they allow you to like focus on their life and like
that's
and let
real.
that be where your energy and time goes. So you don't have to look inside and look at your own stuff.
That's
so
real.
It's dangerous in both ways. Whether whether one way or the other, it's not good. It's not a healthy situation. But, I think, part of the growth you're talking about is, like, recognizing that and coming into it. I feel like, so we're in our 30s now. I feel like now I'm seeing lots of my friends have these.
I'm sorry. My age range is 23 to 36. Thanks.
Depending on necessary. But yeah, like I think it's nice to see so many of our friends come into those places where they're like answering these existential questions about who they are and what they are. It's nice, man. It's really nice to see a lot of our friends who were like kind of angsty historically, and sometimes we were those people too. It's nice to see us come to a place where we're like starting to really get it, really understand it, and understand. I think part of the getting is knowing that you never really get it. You're just like trying to be more and more sensitive to it.
Absolutely.
Right? You're never really competent. You're just sensitive in a better way and can move and shake and kind of dance with life in a better way. Yeah, I think that's one of the nicest parts of growing up. I talk to my sister. My sister in her 40s now, but she has grown so much in her life from when she was young to now. Lots of she had a lot of anger stuff and her dad wasn't around, stuff like that. But to see her kind of channel that passion, that energy into being such a loving, giving person. She's like a social worker now, but she would give the shirt off her back. And so really getting to see my sister grow constantly throughout life helped me be able to see how other people are growing even when it's not so explicit. And
that's
so I'm really in a good place where I'm really not only enjoying my own growth, but really getting to see my friends grow and like shine and being able. I think one of my gifts is being able to reflect the beauty of people back at them, like reflect, like, yo, I see you growing, bruh, and I love that. I see you growing, sister, and I love that. Like, I think that's like one of my favorite gifts is the notion of being able to like reflect people's beauty back at them and reflect their growth back at them. And it's love, man. I feel like I'm like a moon and just absorbing all the good energy from you guys, from you guys and our other loved ones. So I'm in a good space in terms of growing, but also growing to like be able to even more appreciate other people's growth. Like that's dope.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you guys' growth a lot. Tey, you have a very pretty smile too. What? I'm just like, damn. But let everybody know where they can find you guys.
Well, you can find me on _Tey, Tey, Harper, Harper, and I also have a business page called Mama Gracie Sweet Treats. I started baking desserts, cookies, and cupcakes, just in honor of my great grandmother who was a homemaker. So I'm getting things together with that business. So if you're a fat kid like me who loves sweets, then I am the person you should go to.
Cool beans. Thanks for the platform, Mike. I have a new website called doingitwell.org. It's doingitwell.org. Doingitwell. Yeah, definitely. But it's all about wellness. It's like a play off. It's all about wellness, but it is a bite off the kind of like unless that's like illegal or something, then it's not a bite at all. I don't know what you're talking. Who's LL Cool J? I don't even know who that is. But yeah, so that's a new website I have, just like a wellness portal, so a place where people can come get like inspiration, motivation, and also resources. If you know anybody going through some emotional health stuff, it has like resources for like depression hotline and suicide hotline, and like finding a therapist, even finding like a black therapist, those kinds of things. It has some of the videos I made, so I did like a TED style talk recently about the intersectional stuff I was talking about, social justice, racial justice, mental health, and art. What else I got on there? I got the projects that me and Mike have done together. Yes. So Mike and I, check out our projects. The Pure Magic Suite. So really cool story. So Mike is a really dope producer, amongst many other things, artist in general, rapper, singer, right? Also, he's a graphic designer, because Mike made it really. I think the cover is super dope. Mike made the cover too. I sent Mike this picture. It was funny. I sent Mike a picture. I go to a lot of art events, and I take a lot of pictures of the art. And I sent Mike this picture. And when I got the picture back to what he did to the cover, I was like, you couldn't even tell it's the same picture. Like, this was a photograph, and he made it into like a digital art piece.
That's tight.
Which is really cool. So yeah, check that out. On my website, you can find all that. We made the Pure Magic album featuring Primo Miguel, one of Mike's aliases. This really dope kind of smooth kind of hip hop based music, instrumental stuff for you to like just relax to. So that's dope. And then we made like a yoga video with our boy James that Yoga Dude Woods, using that music as well. And then we made a parent coaching video as well, also featuring James and Mike's music, and our boy Charles was in it. It was a good time, man. So yeah, just trying to make a lot of projects that are impactful for communities of color, particularly around like how do you live your full and best full life, and hope to continue to do that work. Now I'm like doing some consulting stuff and some design, program design stuff. So I'm having fun, man. Glory to God for sure. I'm out here.
What about our podcast?
Oh yeah, check out our podcast. So we do a podcast usually on Sunday nights. Hopefully we start up this summer at WPR Pratt Radio. If you check out my Instagram, is like Prodigy 5002. I always post when we're gonna have a show. So that's Prodigy 5002 at Instagram. And the show is called Dexter's Laboratory, or D-Lab BK. And we just have a show where we play like really dope African diaspora music, from like hip hop to jazz to Afrobeat to grime. And just, kind of bullshit, kind of just talking shit. Usually I'm trying to make fun of Tey.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Sorry if y'all listening. I'm sorry for bleep that out, Mike. But yeah, Tey is phenomenal on it. She's a guest. And our homeboy Atiba is also on it. And yeah, we look forward to joining to joining the pantheon of dope black podcasts like Mike got. We need to get our stuff together, because Mike's stuff on iTunes that we got to get together. But you can catch it on SoundCloud if you want. We got a SoundCloud. You can download that for free.
SoundCloud is the best. It really is.
Mike, what about your event on, what is it, Friday or Saturday?
I am performing this Friday at Green Tree Yoga. I will be performing and speaking.
Oh, shit.
Doing a little talking.
Nice.
You can find all my music, everything about me, on primomiguel.com. Also on all social media at Just Mike Brown. You can find this podcast at the Art of Letting Go podcast on SoundCloud as well as iTunes. And although Alpha is not here, you can catch Alpha at Alpha_presents on all social media.
And so you tell Alpha we about to outsing him. Can we outsing Alpha?
I got you. So this is Mike Brown with Tey and Byron, and this is the Art of Letting Go.
Letting go.
Letting go.
Letting go.
Letting go.
Letting go.
Letting
go.
All right, y'all. Peace.